Welcome back to Sci Speed Reviews. Very interesting video just dropped from Star Wars Theory. And the original writer of the Kenobi series, his name is Stuart Beattie, was on his show. The original idea for the Kenobi series was a trilogy of movies. There's 3 different stages in Kenobi's life, the writer says, how he turned from General Kenobi into what we got from A New Hope. So we're just going to go over some talking points of this very interesting interview that Star Wars Theory had with Stuart Beattie. It's a 45-minute interview, and we're not going to go over all the talking points, but just some interesting tidbits from it. So let's go.
For me, I was 6 when I saw Star Wars, fell in love with it. That's why I wanted to be a filmmaker, and started the whole journey for me. So it was very, very, very close to my heart. It was when Disney took over. The obvious thing when Lucasfilm went to Disney, the obvious thing for me was, okay, well, they're probably going to do an Obi-Wan movie because that's the one everyone wants. Yeah. So, but I wasn't hearing anything about who was doing it and what was happening. So I just started coming up with my own ideas for it, and then went out to Lucasfilm and pitched them. And that's really what got the ball rolling.
I love the idea that he just wanted to write an original story, this big plan on how he wanted to do it. So this is what writing a film is about. You're inspired for one thing on a story. He's a lifelong Star Wars fan as a kid, as he says, and he's inspired after watching the original trilogy, then the prequel trilogy, and now he's inspired to write his own story. So that's awesome.
Because they actually weren't planning on doing it.
So Star Wars was not originally interested in making a Kenobi series or a movie on Kenobi. And what kind of loss would that have been? He's the guy who sparked the interest of making the Kenobi series.
They were busy with Rogue One and Han Solo and all these other things. So yeah, so it was really a matter of convincing them that there was a story there worthy to tell. And they did ask me, and in that meeting, is it a movie or is it a show? And I felt, no, it's a movie. It's 3 movies I had, planned for him, because I felt there were 3 different evolutions of his character. Going from basically Obi-Wan Kenobi to Ben. There's 19 years there, and it's not just 19 years of a guy sitting in a desert. They're completely different characters. There's Jedi Master, Clone Wars General, jump into the middle of the fray, say hello there, and get fighting, right?
I love the way he sees the characters, and he sees that there's a major difference, right? There's a progression, evolution. How he becomes the older Obi-Wan Kenobi, all wise Kenobi, but from this general, right, to we got in the A New Hope. Clearly has a vision for his character and built the whole story out. Now, how do we get from that to what we got for the Kenobi series? Who knows?
The thing that really hooked him, I think, in that meeting was when I said, and he has to have met Darth Vader in this time. And they're like, no, it's impossible. It's possible. I said, no, it's actually a fact. And so I said, well, you look at Return of the Jedi. You look at the scene where Luke gives himself up to Vader. And he says, I still believe there's good in you, Father. And I said, and Vader replies, Obi-Wan once thought the same as you. And I was like, when did that happen? Because it certainly didn't happen in Revenge of the Sith. And it certainly didn't happen in A New Hope. So it must have happened in between. And they were like, oh my God, you're right. So
I love it, man. Love it. But yeah, definitely getting chills here. Let's continue on.
There was an interview with you and Collider, and he was talking about how Obi-Wan was going to be maybe a trilogy and a movie, and your idea. And then eventually there was silence for years, and then turned into this show, which I didn't really resonate with. I mean, there were some cool moments that, of course, when you have you and Hayden on screen, or Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, I mean, how could that not be right?
Right.
I looked at your treatment that was leaked online, or whatever happened with that. Is that real? How Cody was supposed to come in there?
Love this.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. So look, my pitch to them was, it all came from character, right? So, what's Obi-Wan feeling at the end of Revenge of the Sith? What's the primary feeling? And I think I felt the feeling is guilt. Guilt. I just killed my brother. Guilt. I'm responsible for unleashing this hell on the galaxy. It's my fault. I trained the guy.
Mhm.
You know, so it's guilt, 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 guilt. But I've got this secret weapon. I've got this baby. This is the new hope. And this baby can make everything right. This baby can fix everything I've messed up. So he's putting all of his guilt onto this baby.
Yeah.
The recipe for
Yep.
disaster, right? But that's his plan. That's his. I'm not saying he was thinking clearly. He clearly wasn't.
Right.
It wouldn't be.
Yeah.
So look. He's like like I said, Clone War was General Jedi Master. It's not the first thing about a baby. So okay, I'll take it to the uncle and aunt. Okay, and the main problem for Obi-Wan at the beginning is he's lost his connection to the Force, and he doesn't know why. So when we first met him, he's just trying to pick up his lightsaber from across the room, and it won't work.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really interesting way to just take away Superman's powers. Right? He's a Jedi. What is the Jedi without that connection to the Force?
Right.
So a big part of the journey for him in my film, in that first film, was finding his connection back to the Force, figuring out why he's lost.
Dude, this is
What he
brilliant.
has to do to get it back.
This is brilliant.
And the answer to that was you have to let go. You have to surrender to the will of the Force. You're trying to force the will of the Force.
Yes. Right.
With your crazy plan. You've got to get it back, and you've got to let things be, and you've got to let the Force come to you. And so, because I always think the hardest thing for a general to do is surrender. Right? It's the hardest thing to do. And that's what he's got to learn to do. He's got to surrender to the will of the Force and get to that place where he can leave at the end and go, Luke, you be a kid. I'm going to leave. I'll keep an eye on you, but I'm going to let you be a kid. And so that was his whole journey. And you can see in the show they get to that place, but I don't feel like they really earned it. Because it wasn't really about him in the end. My story was all about his discovery of what he's doing is wrong, and they have their own connection to the Force, which they call something else completely. But we know what it really is. It's the Force. But so they kind of teach him, you're trying to force your will onto this kid, and it's going to end badly. And we see flashes of that on Tatooine before he leaves. The big thing with Reva was she was the one that ends up going back to Vader and saying, Kenobi's dead, I killed him. Securing Kenobi's secret that he's still alive. And that's what allows Vader to kind of let Kenobi go. Because when we see him in New Hope, he's let that go. It's not he gets that feeling. He's like, hang on, what's that? Something I haven't felt since, it's like, hang on, So it's the idea that, he also needs to, let go. And we had this really great opening sequence where Vader took on 5 Jedis at once and just slaughtered them all.
What?
And it's like, because I figured Vader's like 26,
What?
hided his powers, and it was just an awesome sequence where he was taking on these 5 Jedi at once, and then you got to see how just truly terrifying this villain is. And that's what's, and then of course you cut to Kenobi, and Kenobi has no powers, and you're like, oh man, screwed. He is screwed.
This guy knows how to write stories, man. This is incredible. We would have gotten half of this stuff, man, for the Kenobi series. We got robbed.
Plan, and the plan is Obi-Wan leaves the planet, and Cody stays behind and looks after Luke. Because he wants someone. So Cody was a fun B plot, which was really just kind of getting rid of the bodies and taking them out to the Sarlacc pit and dumping the bodies in the Sarlacc.
Oh my God!
Because that's what you do, right? And so
it's Tatooine.
you got a body, you need to get rid of some stormtrooper bodies. You just go to the Sarlacc pit, right? And so that was the gag that the Cody and Owen.
Owen also.
Bodies, the local Sarlacc pit, and there's someone else there dumping stormtrooper bodies. They're like, for a second, I'm like, no, we're all on the same side.
Yeah. When you're writing Star Wars, like, okay, would George want this for these characters? And I just don't feel like that's something that's happening today.
No.
With the stuff they're creating, unfortunately.
Yeah, I asked Larry about that. I was like, what is it? What defines a Star Wars movie? He's like, it's one word, and it's delight. Like, that's what a Star Wars movie is. Delightful in all its different forms. It's delight. And
We like that. We like that.
Yeah, that's something what that original trilogy was for me. It just was delighted.
Yeah.
It really was, watching those films. I think Quinlan Voss is a fantastic story.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
The guy who kind of really skirts the dark and the light. Well,
That's a little taste of the interview. Fantastic interview. He really understands how to write a good story. He knows a character, and that's what we need in Star Wars. People who know the characters, grew up with it, and can write fantastic stories. I'm gonna leave a link down below to the interview with Star Wars Theory and Stuart Beattie, or you can go directly to Star Wars Theory's channel and check out the full interview right there. But I'll leave a link down below. This is amazing stuff, and at the same time, it makes you cringe at the fact that what we got for the Kenobi series is not what could have been, and unfortunately, we got what we got. But we did have some good scenes in the Kenobi series, and for that, I'm grateful. Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen did a fantastic job on what they contribute to the show. But thanks so much for watching this video. Hit the like button. Consider subscribing to the channel. I do weekly Star Wars content. Thanks so much for your time, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.